Good day and welcome to another lecture on web application development. And if you have made it up to this point, I really want to congratulate you for staying in tune up to this final part of HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So we are going to be doing something different. This is going to be the final lecture on HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Then we can now, after this one, we can now move to the back end. Okay, so actually we are not going to be doing anything new, but this is just a small project to demonstrate what we have mastered over the past few weeks on HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Okay, so I have put together something as simple as this. Okay, and I'm going to be walking you through how to create something like this from start to finish. And I also want to point your attention to something. What you are seeing on the screen has been designed from the bottom-up approach, from start to finish, from mobile then to desktop. Okay, so if I decide to collapse the window and make it like a mobile view, you would see immediately that this navigation bar here, home, service, about us, immediately change to this hamburger icon, and if you click on it, you have something like this, and you can close it back. Then again, if you scroll down, you will discover that these icons, initially when we have a larger desktop, they utilize the space and they took that to an advantage. They spread out. Okay, and by the time you have a mobile design, the space can't accommodate them any longer, and they have to utilize the space vertically and not horizontally. Okay, as you begin to increase the size of your desktop, you see the moment we get to the medium, you can see that they change. Okay, and that is the beauty of a mobile first approach to design your web page. Okay, then you are going to be learning a whole lot, designing this button, giving it a rounded border, a rounded corner, and also we are going to be seeing how we can creatively come across this shape that you have here. Okay, you can see that there is a little bit of curve here. Likewise, there it's not just a rectangle. All of these are just to demonstrate the what you can come up with your pure CSS. Okay, so and if you look at it, it is not something big to design. Okay, and if you take a very good look at it once again, you will discover that it's not new at all. It's something we have done before, only that this time around we are going to be doing it from another approach entirely, which we call the mobile first approach. Okay, then you can see that there is a little bit of animation going on here. All of this we are going to cover. And then what is mobile first approach? When you are designing your web page, you will design it with the mind of mobile. Okay, that is, you are going to strictly design it for mobile device like this. So you will design how it will look on a mobile device, then after which you graduate one level to the medium device. How do you want it to look when the device is no longer mobile but medium? Okay, like tablets and co, okay, that have a larger screen compared to mobile devices. Then you ask yourself again, how would you really want it to look when it gets to a bigger device? Take for example, you can see that on a medium device this button occupies the entire width, but when we get to a larger device, which of course is like desktop, you would see that it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for the button to take the whole width of the window. After all, the window is so big. So at least with a little bit of media query, you are able to adjust and tweak the settings of this button to take advantage of that very big screen and decrease the size so that it will maintain the beauty of the entire look. And those are the little stuff that we are going to do to round up our lecture on front-end design. okay? Because if you look at front-end design, you will discover that the basic tools we use at the front end are just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, okay? And that goes without telling you that the graphics work is also part of the work of front-end design. So many of these logos, someone will need to design them for you. And of course, these paragraphs here, it's not really your work as a web developer. There are people called content writers, they will develop all of this. Yours is just to make use of it. And these icons here, they will develop all of that. Yours is to make you, they will supply you the pictures, okay? And all of those are also part of the work of a front-end design. And this banner here, someone needs to design it for you. So the web development has graduated from a job done by one person to a group of people, okay? Especially if you have a very large project at hand. But that does not mean you can't design your own website from start to finish all by yourself. You can do it, okay? And the approach I'm going to be teaching you once we get to Laravel is how you can quickly cook up all of this together by yourself without doing any without calling on anybody to help you with one part or the other, because what you are learning is what we call full stack development. That is, you can work at both back and front end. Okay, enough introduction about what we have to cover in this series of tutorial. So how are we going to start this job? Now we will continue with our status quo. We keep up to how we have been doing it, but what I will be doing first is to design the HTML. Remember, the HTML just has to describe the contents that will be on the page, and there won't be any design, okay? No color, nothing. So then I will now create a CSS file where I will be putting all my designs, okay? And as we continue to do that, you will discover that the design will be popping up in your HTML. And also the part of JavaScript is also very important, okay? Because if you take a very good look at it, once we are in mobile, then this changes, okay? We can do that with a little bit of media query for the menus to change, but you need to listen to the click event of this button, so to say. So if you click on this button, something happens, that is JavaScript. If you click on this X, that's another event, something happened, that is JavaScript. So we want to take a look at how JavaScript will be able to do that for us, and I think that is good as an introduction for now. So let's move on to designing the HTML and come up with something like this, okay? So the very first thing I'm going to be doing is to create a folder for my job. So heading straight to I have done it before, and that is project HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So I'm going to be sending you this folder here that contains all the work, okay? And I also need to let you know that I have compiled together the HTML that you are going to be designing, included with the CSS that you are going to be designing. And if you look at it here, we have the style.css, and I will be using this material to really go along with the lecture. So you too can print out this material and follow exactly what you have here, and you should come up with the same result, okay? So you have the material, you have the output, just follow it and you can come up with something like that. But just for the sake of comprehensiveness, so I'm going to be walking you through it myself, after which you can do your home practice by printing it out and following what exactly you have here. And that material, this material will be included with the project I will be sending alongside with it to you, and that is this one here, okay? So I haven't said all of those. I will be heading straight to the tutorial folder and create a new folder for the project. Remember, all projects with their own folder, okay? So I'm going to be calling this project. Let me just put 2 here. It's just to quickly demonstrate what I have done before, okay? But this is what I'm going to be sending to you. Having created this folder, I can now head straight to Visual Studio Code Editor and open the newly created folder. And you can do that by clicking on open folder here, or you head straight to file and click on open folder. So any which way is okay. Okay, so right now I will be looking for project 2 to open the newly created folder, and I will click on select folder. then you will discover that project 2 is an empty folder that does not have any item inside it. Okay, so at this point I'm going to create a new folder, which of course is going to be called CSS, and my intention is to keep my style sheets over there. Then I'm going to click outside here so that I don't create a folder inside CSS. My intention is to create another folder inside project 2, and I'm going to be calling it images. Okay, and lastly I will do the same thing by clicking outside here and click on folder and create another one, which I'm going to be calling JS. Okay, and I'm going to be creating a file this time around, not a folder, and I will be calling it index.html. okay, and this is my newly created folder. I will head straight to my CSS folder and create a file inside it and call it style.css, and my intention is to put my design over here, but for now I will be concentrating on index.html so that I have all the contents over there. Okay, now let's take a look at what we want to design. So we are starting with this navigation bar here, and you can of course categorize that as header. Okay, remember you will be clicking on services and about us, and you don't want this header to disappear. It will always stay constant, and you don't want to be redesigning or copying it from index.html to services.html. so what would you be doing? You would just have to create header over here, and once you create the header, you can then make use of the header across all the pages. Okay, so when we get to Vue.js, you would be seeing how we can do away with code repetition. But for now, once you do the header on index.html and you go to services, you still want to make use of the same header, so you can quickly copy the header from index.html into services.html. but once we get to Vue.js, which is also a framework that has to do with front-end design, you would see how we can do away with code repetition. Okay, but for now you just want to look at how the nuts and bolts fit in together, and we do not really concern ourselves with too much of best practices. Okay, so having said all of those, now I will head straight back to my index.html and create my basic structure for my HTML. Okay, and the title of this document, I will be okay over there is document, so let's just leave it as document. But of course we can make it, if let's take a look back at this, we can just call it web hosting, something like that. So we can call it web hosting, something like that. Okay, that's good. So now what is the next thing? The next thing at this point is you want to link to this style.css, even though we don't have anything in style.css yet. So no problem. So I'm going to be making use of my link tag, and in my href I will be putting images here and put css style.css. and if you are doubting, maybe you do not have the correct path, you can hold on the control key on the keyboard and click on it to follow the link. Oops, you can see that we have a little bit of issue here. It was unable to open the style.css, and even though I've not gone so far, I note at the earlier stage that there is a problem. So I would be interested in solving this problem before I further on, just so that I do not have problem later on. And without wasting much of my time, I was able to discover that there is a typo here. Style.css is inside CSS folder and not images folder. Okay, so please get used to the habit of correcting your errors at the earlier stage so that it doesn't cause you too much of trouble later on. So we'll be putting CSS folder here, and you can see my style.css pops in. So if you hold down the control key and click once again, you can see it navigates you here. That's to tell you that you have a correct path. Okay, now moving on further, I will be heading straight to the body, and inside the body I'm going to be creating a div that has a class of container. Okay, and this container would now be like a house for the header included with some of the things that will be inside it. But for now, I will be interested in designing this first part of the document, which of course I will be putting them under header. And if you look at it, it has a logo here and it has a few menus here, no problem. Okay, so I haven't said that I can now make use of header. So header is an HTML5 component that is just grouping together some of the things you would really want to treat as an header. Okay, in fact, you can do the same thing by replacing this header with div, because it does not have any default behavior. Okay, but it will be better to keep up with this good approach. So in the header tag, the very first thing I will be putting there is the logo, and you can see, if you look at it, there is the logo here. And that reminds me, before you continue on the journey, what happens to your content? The images you will be using, they are not here at all. So it will be better to get all your assets and put them over here even before you go far further in the journey. Okay, and having said that, I will be heading straight to the project I have completed before. And if you check on the images here, I have a group of images. So I'm going to be hitting Control A if you are on Windows operating system, Control C to quickly copy it, or you can just right click and choose copy. Okay, so I will be headed straight back, and remember, my project that I am currently working on is project 2. I may be changing the name later on, so I will double click this, head straight to the images folder, and hit Control V on your keyboard if you are on Windows operating system, or you right click and choose paste. Okay, so now I have all my assets in exactly the place I would want it to be. So now I can collapse this window. Then if you head straight back to your images on our current project, you see that all the assets are here. Then if you click on this logo.svg, you will discover that we do not have an image displayed for us, rather we have something like this. So svg is a file format that is describing a vector image. So in most cases, when you want something like a logo, you can make use of CorelDRAW or Adobe Illustrator to get this kind of image, and it will be better if it is SVG, because SVG has one big advantage. You can really increase the size of this without losing the quality or decrease it, just because it's a vector image. But if it's a bitmap image like JPEG and Co, once you increase the image, you start having some reduction in the quality of the image. Okay, so you as a front-end developer should understand that. Okay, and you should communicate that to your graphic designer so that he can give you the appropriate file format that will be good for your job. Okay, so having said that, I will head straight back to my index.html, and at this point in time I want to include the image which will serve as my logo. So remember, you make use of image img tag, then over here in the src you have to put images followed by logo.svg, and that is what? That is the address or the path to the image you are putting there. And in case there is a problem, okay, maybe the logo can't be found or the picture was unable to get displayed, you want to put some alternate things there to be displayed, maybe the name of the company, or let's just call it web hosting. So if the picture was unable to display it, then web hosting will be written over there, and maybe you want to really signify that there is a logo missing. Okay, then I will be giving my image a class of logo, and the reason for doing this is because I may want to change the attributes of the size of the image, and I don't want to be doing it here, rather I want to be doing it over here inside the CSS, and that's the reason why I gave it that. Okay, so I will be hitting Ctrl S to save my job. At this point, maybe you really want to take a look on the logo. You can right click on here and say open with live server. Okay, it's open in 550 port 550, and you can see that it's open here in port 550, and you can see the image. Okay, I really want to be seeing what I am doing as I am doing it, so I'm going to collapse this window and put it somewhere here. Okay, then I'm going to hide this so that I can benefit. Then I'm going to increase the fonts over here so that you can get a better chance to look at it. I think it's okay this way. Then I will bring back my browser, and at this point I can be working and be seeing the result even without leaving the screen, and that's what I really intend to do. So that is that about the image. Now I'm introducing you to another HTML5 tag, which of course is called nav. So I can now be putting my items here, my navigation bar, and we are going to make use of. So the very first thing you want to do is creating something like this. Then you will be asking at this point in time, what am I creating? And let me quickly show you here. I want to create this hamburger look. Remember, we are doing this for mobile, and this is of course is another image. So if you click on it, at least you see what's happened. So this is the picture I want to create at this point in time, and I am creating that picture, and at the same time I am going to link it up. So that's why you see me putting it in a tag, which is a link tag that will be linking it to something for me. Okay, so inside this link tag I want to put image here, and the image I want to put there is what I showed you before, that hamburger design, and I have it created in as menu.svg, because if you take a look at, we have menu.svg, that's the image. So you want to put images / menu.svg. okay, so then maybe you want to supply some alternates here. Then we have toggle menu, something like this. At least you know the purpose is toggle menu. If the image was unable to get displayed, it's going to write this for you. Okay, then I am giving it a class of menu. Okay, then you also want to give it an ID of menu. So why am I giving it the ID of menu? I am because I will need JavaScript to talk to it, and the JavaScript can quickly get across to it with this ID. Then why am I giving it a class of menu? I am giving it a class of menu because I want CSS to talk to this image, and I can really get across to it with this class of menu in CSS. Okay, so you can hit Ctrl S to save your job, and immediately you hit Ctrl S to save your job, you can see that it comes right away. Okay, so that is what I have just done. Okay, then followed by this next one, this which I'm going to be writing home services and about us. So that's the next thing that I want to design, and those will come under the here. So we call it the UL on other list. So we are making use of an other list tag, and by now you already know that in on other list tag we have li. So inside the li you can now start having a link over here, and this link I can put home here. The reason why you have the link there is because when they click on it, you want to send them to some particular place. So I'm going to hit Control Shift and press the down arrow key to duplicate. Sorry, Alt Shift. Then I will be changing what I have here. So the next one should be services. Then the next one over here should be about, while the last one over here is going to be contact. Okay, then the UL, I'm going to be giving it a class. So the class I will be giving it is going to be show. desktop, and then you want to give it a space and also give it another class, making two classes, and this is going to be hide mobile, and lastly I'm giving it an ID of nav. So why am I doing all of this? Let me quickly explain to you. If you look at it over here, you can see that I do not have home, about us, services and contact, just because I'm on the mobile view. But check what happens when you are on desktop view. They pop up immediately. So we can achieve that with the help of CSS. So that's what we are doing here. So I'm giving it show desktop. So this class will make sure that this thing will show only if you are on the desktop environment. And this hide mobile will make sure that this highs, they are hidden only if you are where you are on mobile environments. Okay, they are hidden by default, and that's why you see me giving it two classes. So all of these classes, we are going to be designing them in CSS, but I just want to show you how you can quickly come up with something like this. And okay, so that is going to be all, I think, for what, for our header. So please, there is one more thing I would want us to add, because if you look at it very well, you will discover that apart from home, services, about and contact, there is something else that is present, and this icon here. And this icon behaves such that when you click on it, this gets disappeared. Okay, so even this icon needs to be designed, and I already have an image for it, and the name of that image is exit.png, and I can really show you over here. If you come straight here and you click on exit.png, then you see it, because it's a PNG file, so you can see it, and it has some transparencies embedded in it. Okay, so but if you look at it very well, you will discover that it should be among here. That's why you see it coming in when this also appear. So it's going to be part of the LI, only that the LI, unlike the rest that was at the left hand side here, this one is at the right hand side, and it comes at the top, meaning that it must be the first item in the UL. Okay, and that's the reason why I will be heading straight back to my LI over here. Okay, and create another LI, and that LI, I'm going to create a link over here, such that if you click on that link, it's going to either so giving it an ID of exit, because we need a JavaScript to talk to it. Okay, then class of exit dash btn, because we need our CSS to talk to it, and that is it. So that is going to be there. Most importantly, you want to have some image inside of it, so let's collapse it. So we need img, so the src is going to be images slash exit.png, and alternate here. Maybe you want to supply some information in case it was missing. Okay, so it's going to be exit menu. So that is going to be all for that, and you can hit on Ctrl S to save your job. Then immediately you see when I saved, these are the LI, so you can see that this is their default behavior. This is what we have. So until we had some styles in our CSS, you wouldn't get the look you are looking for. But for now, we are not interested in getting that look. All we are concerned about for now is to put the content on this on our page. Okay, so that is going to mark the end of designing the header part of our document in HTML. Okay, so I will proceed further to designing the next thing. And after this header, you can see the next thing that comes here is the banner. So meet me in the next class to further our journey on designing the banner that comes immediately after the header in our HTML. So thanks so much for attending this lecture.